We need more psychology. A deeper understanding of human nature is essential because the greatest threat we face isn't out there, it's within us. Have you ever paused to consider that you might not be who you believe you are? That your thoughts, your choices, and even your desires may not be truly yours? What if I told you there's a hidden force inside you, quiet, deep, and dark, that's been shaping your life since the very beginning and you've never noticed? This isn't about conspiracies. This is psychology. And if there's one name you need to understand to make sense of what's happening in your mind, it's Carl Gustav Jung. Are you tired of falling into the same traps? Of ruining relationships, of feeling stuck, weighed down, even when things seem fine on the surface? Maybe it's your shadow. Maybe it's the archetypes. Maybe it's the collective unconscious demanding to be seen. But what do these terms mean? And why should you care? Because turning a blind eye to these parts of your psyche is like stumbling through a minefield blindfolded. You'll be wounded. You'll relive the same cycles. You'll suffer, and worst of all, you'll blame fate or bad luck. Jung wasn't just a psychologist, he was a cartographer of the soul. He mapped out the most hidden regions of the human mind, the ones others feared to explore. What he discovered can turn your self-image upside down. This video isn't a biography or a summary, it's a mirror, and in it, I'll show you the things you've been avoiding for years. But be warned, once you grasp Jung's insights, there's no going back. You'll begin to notice what was once invisible. You'll face the monsters living within. And for the first time, you might understand that your biggest enemy isn't out there. It's inside. The good news. That enemy can become your greatest strength, but only if you're brave enough. So inhale deeply, clear your mind, and prepare yourself. Because what you're about to hear is, without exaggeration, the one explanation of Jung you truly need. And once you've heard it, you'll never see yourself the same way again. Carl Jung was no ordinary psychologist. He didn't aim to treat symptoms or help people fit into a broken society. He wanted to go deeper, much deeper. He wanted to understand the soul. Jung stared into the depths of the psyche and chose to dive in. What he found changed the course of psychology forever. Born in Switzerland in 1875, Jung was raised among religious images, rituals, and an atmosphere of silence and mystery. From childhood, he sensed that human life contained something more, something that couldn't be explained by logic or language alone. It's no surprise he became Freud's brightest student and eventually the one bold enough to challenge him. Freud believed that the mind was driven by suppressed sexual urges. Jung saw more. He saw depths. He saw archetypes, myths, symbols, collective energies. While Freud focused on the recent past, Jung reached back through centuries, touching the roots of human history. That's why their split was unavoidable. Jung wasn't interested in simply curing disorders. He wanted to rebuild the lost connection between people and their inner truth. To him, the psyche was a living, ever-changing system filled with opposing forces, light and shadow, logic and feeling, masculine and feminine. And he believed that suffering wasn't a flaw of life, it was an invitation to evolve. He introduced a revolutionary way to view the self, analytical psychology, a path not meant to erase your flaws, but to bring understanding, to integrate, and to make conscious what's been ignored or denied. For Jung, the real danger wasn't suffering, it was remaining unaware. Why does all this still matter? Because our society is still deeply unwell. We stay stuck in harmful patterns. We suppress our emotions, numb our emptiness, and run from discomfort. Jung saw this coming, and he gave us a path inward, a chance to understand why we feel so lost and what we must do to find ourselves again. He didn't promise quick fixes or shallow comfort, but what Jung gives you is something no one else does, the truth about who you really are. One of the most unsettling truths he uncovered is that there's a level of the human mind that isn't unique to each person, but instead is shared by everyone. A deep ocean filled with symbols, images, and energies that quietly shape our lives, even when we have no idea it's happening. In the next part, we'll explore this strange place that Jung named the collective unconscious, and you'll begin to see that there are far more people living inside you than you think. Many believe their thoughts, emotions, and fears belong only to them. That everything inside the mind comes from their personal story, their past, their upbringing, their memories. But Jung challenged that completely. He showed there's a deeper layer of the mind, more ancient and powerful, that doesn't belong to just you, yet still controls you. He called it the collective unconscious. Picture your mind like a small island. Everything you've experienced, your memories, pain, life story, is there. But beneath that island lies a hidden, dark sea that every human being shares. A deep place where symbols, images, and patterns created over thousands of years still live. These are the old myths, the original archetypes, forces that existed long before you were born and that still shape the way you think, feel, love, and suffer. The collective unconscious isn't just a poetic idea. It's a real part of the mind that reveals itself in dreams, fantasies, religion, movies that touch you, and stories told through generations. That's why ancient civilizations across time created similar tales of heroes, wise elders, monsters, quests, and salvation. These aren't just cultural stories. They are mirrors of how the human soul is built. Jung believed every human action is linked to an archetypal structure. When you're afraid of being left behind, that's an ancient fear. When you feel the deep urge to connect, to grow, to find purpose, that's the same inner force humans have always felt. And this is why ignoring the collective unconscious is like ignoring gravity. You can pretend it's not real, but it still affects you. It shows up in your relationships, your habits, your failures, until you finally understand that your struggle isn't just with your own past, but with the weight of all human experience. So, what exactly lives in this hidden place? What are the invisible powers shaping your thoughts and behavior without your knowing? Jung gave them a name, archetypes. These are universal forms that live inside all of us and influence how we act, feel, and think. And out of all the archetypes, one stands out, the most ignored, the most feared, and the most powerful. It lives inside you, and unless you face it, it will keep ruling your life. In the next part, we'll explore the shadow, the darker side of your personality you try to bury, but that never stops watching you. If this message is resonating with you, hit the subscribe button and join the channel. Thanks for your support. Have you ever done something you regretted deeply and couldn't even explain why? Ever snapped at someone in rage and said afterward, "I don't know what came over me"? Ever felt jealousy, pride, anger, or envy, but ignored or explained those feelings away instead of confronting them? Then you've already met your shadow. You just didn't dare to face it. Carl Jung believed that everyone has a dark side, a side we push away and refuse to admit. It's the part of you filled with everything you're ashamed to acknowledge, your urges, your selfishness, your anger, your pride, your need for control, your hidden pain. It all lives inside, and the more you suppress it, the more powerful it becomes. The shadow is everything you've tried to hide so people would accept you. It's what you had to silence to fit in. It's the child that was told to behave, the teenager who had to stay quiet, the adult who learned to smile while falling apart inside. And now comes the harsh reality. Everything you avoid facing in your shadow starts taking control of your life from behind the scenes. The shadow doesn't just go away, it hides. It shows up in the way you judge others, in sudden bursts of anger, in the shame that stops you from acting, in that inner voice telling you you're not enough, in the self-sabotage that shows up just when things start to go well. And the more convinced you are that you're a good person, the more dangerous your shadow becomes. Because you won't see your anger, selfishness, or jealousy as your own, so you push them onto others. You begin to see all the darkness out there and none within yourself. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. In other words, if you keep acting like your shadow doesn't exist, it will keep running your life. You'll keep repeating cycles. You'll choose the same harmful people. You'll ruin your own chances. You'll run from love, from success, from freedom, because deep down you'll believe you don't deserve them. But there is a way out. Not by destroying the shadow, but by facing it. Because the shadow doesn't just carry destruction, it holds energy. If you use that energy the right way, it can completely transform you. But to do that, you have to step into uncomfortable territory. You have to face the parts of yourself you've buried, rejected, and hidden. That's where true self-knowledge begins. Jung gave this journey a name, individuation. It's not easy. It's not quick, but it's the only real path to freedom. In the next part, we'll explore how this process works and why it's the only real way to feel complete. Because as long as you stay divided inside, you'll stay in conflict. Most people spend their whole lives trying to fit in, pleasing family, following rules, living up to society's standards. They bend, shrink, and numb themselves to avoid facing who they really are. But deep down, they feel a void, a restlessness, a sense that something important is missing. Carl Jung knew exactly what that feeling was. He called it a lack of individuation. Individuation isn't shallow self-help. It's not about being your best self or attracting success. It's a raw, deep process of becoming whole. It's facing your shadow, balancing opposites inside you, reconnecting with your soul. It's stepping out from behind the mask, what Jung called the persona, and meeting your real self. To individuate is to let go of who you thought you were and become something more real. It's breaking down the ego, tearing apart illusions. It's facing the sides of you that you've hidden for years. It's realizing you're not as perfect as you pretend, nor as terrible as you fear. It's seeing you are both light and dark, strong and weak, brave and afraid, all at once. And here's the hard truth. This journey is painful, because it means letting go of the lies you've clung to. It means taking full responsibility for your life instead of blaming others. It means living to be whole, not to be liked. Individuation doesn't happen overnight. It shows up during crisis, heartbreak, change. Every time something inside you dies, an idea, a role, a belief, something new is born. But only if you're willing to walk through discomfort and confusion. Jung said meeting your true self feels like a loss for the ego, and he was right. Most people avoid that path. They choose comfort over truth. But those who face their darkness find something priceless, freedom. Because when you accept the parts of yourself you once rejected, when you embrace the shadow and listen to the soul, you become what you were always meant to be, even if you were too afraid to be it before. And the soul does speak. It's always speaking, just not with words. It uses symbols, images, and stories. It speaks to you in your dreams. And if you learn how to listen, you can uncover things your logic would never find. In the next part, we'll explore this mysterious inner world. We'll look into what Jung called the symbolic language of the mind and learn why your dreams might be the key to your personal change. Today's world laughs at dreams, seeing them as random or meaningless mental noise. But Carl Jung thought the opposite. He believed dreams are the voice of the soul. They're not useless. They're strange, coded, symbolic messages, but never just noise. Every night when you sleep, something inside you wakes up and begins to speak. But the problem is that most of us never learn to listen. Jung believed that dreams are the unconscious trying to fix our inner balance. When your waking mind moves too far from your true self, the unconscious sends images, scenes, symbols, and old patterns to bring you back. Dreams are more than memories of your day. They're messages, hints, warnings, sometimes even cries for help. Think about it. Why do you dream of falling when you feel out of control in life? Why do you dream of losing teeth when you feel powerless? Why do some symbols keep showing up again and again? That's not random. That's your inner self trying to reach out. But your soul doesn't talk in regular words. It uses symbols. And this leads to one of Jung's most important ideas, the study of archetypal symbols. Lions, snakes, houses, forests, mirrors, doors, tunnels, mothers, shadows, these things don't show up by accident. They are parts of your inner world. They're pieces of you rising to the surface. Each symbol holds meaning, power, and a role. A house might stand for your inner state. A snake could mean change. A ladder might mean climbing toward growth or sinking deeper depending on how it appears. A mirror might show you a side of yourself you're avoiding. Learning to read these images is like learning a forgotten language, the language of your soul. Jung warned that when we ignore dream symbols, we drift away from who we are. And when we lose that connection, we feel lost. We fall into crisis. We feel anxious, sad, unsure. We lose our way because we've lost touch with our inner guide. Dreams are that guide. Ignoring them is like walking blind through a maze. Want to really know yourself. Want to understand why you keep repeating the same stories. Why you feel stuck. Why you carry fears you can't explain. Look at your dreams. Write them down. Think about them. Face the symbols. They have answers your logical mind can't see. But dreams aren't the only thing speaking in symbols. There's something even deeper, older, and more powerful behind them. Archetypes. These are the unseen forces inside you. They are the hidden players in the story of your life. In the next part, we'll uncover who these archetypes are and how they influence your feelings, your choices, and your relationships, even when you think you're fully in control. Have you ever acted in a way that felt strange, like you weren't yourself? Ever found yourself stuck in the same patterns with no idea where they started? Always meeting the same type of person, the same hurt, the same lesson. Carl Jung knew why this happens. Because deep inside you live hidden forces, psychic characters, that don't just influence your life. They act it out. They are called archetypes. Archetypes are built-in parts of your mind. You didn't learn them. They're ancient patterns that have always been there. They've existed as long as humanity itself. They live in the collective unconscious. They act like inner blueprints that shape your behavior, emotions, and personal stories. And here's the unsettling part. You could spend your whole life being led by an archetype without even knowing it. Jung discovered many of these patterns. The hero, for instance, is the drive to overcome face challenges and chase something meaningful. The wise one searches for truth, knowledge, and insight. The shadow, as we've discussed, is everything we deny or hide. The anima and animus are the feminine energy within men and the masculine energy within women, parts that need to come together to make us whole. These aren't just ideas. They're alive with energy. When one archetype takes over your mind, it literally possesses you. It grabs the steering wheel and runs your life without asking. That's why sometimes you feel like you're not even acting like yourself. That's why certain relationships repeat the same patterns like a script you didn't write. You're being controlled by an activated archetype. Someone who constantly saves others but neglects themselves may be under the influence of the hero archetype. A person who always seeks approval and fears rejection might be stuck in the wounded child. If you keep getting pulled into drama and self-destruction, you're probably being ruled by an unhealed shadow. And this is key. Archetypes aren't your enemies, but when they remain unconscious, they control you. When you bring them into awareness, they give you power. They're like keys, gateways. When you start recognizing which one is speaking inside you, you begin to reclaim your story. But this takes awareness. You have to learn to spot these voices, these patterns, these inner myths that show up in your emotions, relationships, and choices. Only then do you stop playing a role and start becoming the writer of your own story. This is where Jung's ideas matter more than ever. Today we're flooded with distractions and pressures pulling us further from who we really are. We're pushed to live outward and ignore what's inside. The result: emptiness, a loss of meaning, a spiritual crisis hidden under stress and anxiety and depression. In the next section, we'll look at why Jung's teachings matter now more than ever and how they can help make sense of the mental chaos in modern life. We live in the information era, yet we feel more lost than ever. Everything is available all the time. Still, we wander around tired and confused. Modern life promised freedom but gave us anxiety. It promised connection but left us drowning in constant comparison. And in the middle of all this noise, one silent question is screaming inside many people: who am I, really? This is the moment where Carl Jung's work becomes vital. He didn't hand out quick fixes. He didn't promise happiness in a bottle or success through wishful thinking. What he offered was something far more powerful: a return to the soul. A journey back to everything we've buried, denied, or twisted to fit into a world obsessed with success, image, and speed. Jung saw that identity would collapse. He knew modern people would become trapped by the persona, the social mask we wear to be liked, praised, and promoted. He understood that when we ignore the shadow, we become controlled by the very forces we pretend don't exist. That by pushing away our dreams, we cut ourselves off from the unconscious. That by mocking symbols and archetypes, we throw away the map to who we really are. Jung wrote this many years ago, but today, it feels like he was talking about exactly what's happening right now. People feel empty even when they seem to have everything. Relationships are more and more shallow, fragile, and easy to throw away. Young people in their 20s are facing deep identity crises. Anxiety, depression, and mental struggles are rising, and while medicine tries to treat them, it often doesn't truly understand them. The modern world sold us the idea that living on the surface is enough, but the soul won't stay quiet for long. And when it finally cries out, it doesn't ask for attention. It asks for meaning, depth, wholeness. Jung wasn't just a therapist for calm times. He was a guide for moments of collapse, like the time we live in now. Because when everything outside starts to fall apart, your status, your success, your sense of control, you have no choice but to look inside. And looking within can be terrifying, because you won't just find light. You'll face your fears, your wounds, your false masks, and the truths you've been hiding from. But you'll also find something no one else can give you: your real self. You won't heal with quick advice or easy tricks. But if you're brave enough to look at yourself honestly, to drop the fake layers, to dive deep into this process Jung called inner transformation, then yes, healing is possible. That's why this video exists. To remind you there is a way forward, that your pain has meaning, that you're not broken. You're just scattered and you can come back together. But what does that actually mean? How do you begin this path back to yourself? How do you move from ideas to real change? In the next and final part, we'll share a raw but vital truth and show you why this moment might be the turning point your soul has been waiting for. You've spent your life trying to fit in, stay safe, and be accepted. You acted strong while feeling shattered inside. You smiled while something inside you was quietly crying out. And somewhere along the way, you lost touch with who you really are. You forgot your depth, your mystery, your wild creativity, your soul. But now something deep inside is waking up. And it's not random that you're watching this. You believe nothing is truly by accident. Even the most random moments can be signs from your unconscious trying to show you something. Maybe this video is exactly that. A sign. A sign to stop running. A sign to stop lying to yourself. A sign to stop floating on the surface and finally go deep. What Jung teaches is not always easy to accept. It takes strength. It can hurt. It demands that we take responsibility. But it also gives freedom. Because when you finally understand that you're not broken, just unaware, you gain power. The power to change, to become whole, to heal. You don't have to figure everything out right now. You don't need to understand all your dreams or name every archetype. But you do need to take the first step, the step of honesty, the step of saying, enough, enough of living on autopilot, enough of pretending you're fine, enough of staying trapped in a shallow version of yourself. From this moment on, things are different because now you know. And once you've seen the truth, you can't unsee it. So here's my invitation to you. If something in this video touched a part of you that's been asleep, leave a comment. Tell me, what idea shook you the most? What truth hit you hardest? What part of your shadow are you still avoiding? Just writing it out is already bringing light to your unconscious, and that's how the healing begins. If this video moved you, the next one is just as powerful, maybe even more, because this inner journey doesn't end here. Once the soul wakes up, it wants more. So click the next video. Keep going. You're only at the start of what could become the most powerful transformation of your life. See you there.